eyes, it's transformed, and in our brain we see something. So we actually ever see everything upside down, and then it has to be turned right side up in our brain. Unless you're in Australia where everything's upside down. And then we have air, which moves everything. We can hear after we eat something, then we can hear the different movements from the beginning to the end of the air within our body. So air is what moves everything. Air is what moves even our blinking of our eyes. Everything is moved by air. The planets are moved by air. We swallow because of there's an air that helps us to swallow. So all these things, all activity is done by air. So these elements are present, they make up our body, and they also make up the elements outside the body. So there's really no difference between the elements outside our body and what our body is made out of. The difference is that there's a person who's conscious of the body. Now, Prabhupada writes, trust no future, however pleasant, idle talk about combining material elements to become a person just haven't happened in the past, and there's no reason to believe that they're going to happen in the future. It's due to the presence of the soul that these material elements appear to be alive, but actually they're just dead elements being manipulated by the soul through the direction of the supersoul. So we come to the point where we can understand these elements are the same as in our body as outside of our body by use of our intelligence. Now we had a group of dogs in class and we tried to explain it. It's very unlikely they'd follow along the philosophy. They don't have intelligence, but they have intelligence. If we put some prasad somewhere, the dogs have more intelligence than we have how to find it, because they have they're empowered by the super soul through their body. They have more intelligence in that way, due to their acute sense of smell. So every living entity is being provided with intelligence. It's just a question of how much intelligence and what kind of intelligence. An ant is looking for sugar, the dog is looking for some food, and we're also looking for some food, although the use of our intelligence may be different if we're in the human form of life and trying to utilize it to understand ourself and the Supreme Self. Other to find food, to find shelter, to find sex, to be able to defend. The animals in many respects have better intelligence than we do, one-on-one. Of course, we can create things that put the balance in our favor for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, seemingly. But after the end of the day, we all die anyhow. So that intelligence is like the father supplying instruction to his son, or the teacher instructing the student. The super soul is all-pervading intelligence. Within everyone's body is the supreme instructor for everyone at every moment, giving us all remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. For those who are trying to remember Krishna, Krishna helps them remember Krishna. And for those who are trying to forget Krishna, Krishna helps them forget Krishna. For those who want to believe that there's nothing beyond the material elements, or that Brahman is supreme, Krishna will give them so much knowledge. And he'll help them believe that knowledge, their so-called ignorance, is actual knowledge. So this is all due to the super soul. For those who want to remember Krishna, Krishna helps them remember him. And for those who want to forget him, he helps them forget them. And for those who want to forget something, and they're not qualified to forget it, he acts in such a way that they don't forget it. That's called madness. If you keep on remembering the same thing over and over again and you can't forget it, you go crazy. And for those who are trying to remember something, they can't remember it no matter how much they try, is called foolishness or stupidity or whatever. So Krishna is the one behind the whole thing. You may try to forget something and you can't. You may try to remember something and then you can't remember it, and then all of a sudden you remember it by Krishna's mercy, by Krishna's arrangement. So we've studied that there's matter, there's spirit, and then there's super spirit. There are three categories: matter, spirit, and super spirit. So the living entity's free will, which everyone is concerned about, what is our free will, consists on whether we want to orientate our intelligence, ourselves, our conceptions, toward the ignorant misconception of identifying ourselves with these gross and subtle bodies, or we want to orientate ourselves towards the true conception of identifying ourselves as spirit, and that there's a Supreme Spirit. Now, the Supreme Spirit, he's not simply limited to being the order supplier, giving remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, and supplying all the ingredients to fulfill desires in this mature world. But he exists in another world, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and also in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's the supreme abode. And there he's engaged in loving pastimes. Therefore it's said that Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Jnanamamam Prapadante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Saramahatma Sudurlabha. After passing through many births and deaths, one whose knowledge of me surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is, such a great soul is very rare. So we should know about Krishna as the super soul, as the cause of everything. Krishna describes himself in Bhagavad Gita in many different places, so we can understand what our relationship is with him and how he's working in this world. Because if we understand Krishna as the controller of this world, then we ourselves will not try to become the controllers. If we understand that Krishna is the enjoyer and the friend, then we'll try to please Krishna and not take the credit of helping others, but understand that we can only become an instrument for Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, for instance, Upadrasta namanta cha bharta bhokta maheshvara paramatmeti chap yuto dehesmin purusha para. Yet there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who's the Lord, the overseer and permitter, and who's known as the super soul. So we might question that if Krishna is controlling everything, then what is it why am I given any blame for what's going on? Why do I have to accept karma? Krishna is doing everything, so I'm innocent. I'm just going along. Well, Krishna says, not only he's the upadrasta, the overseer, he sees everything. Anumanta, he's also the permitter. And what is that permission? Nadate kasachit papam, na papam sukritim vibhu, agyane navritam jnana, tena muyanti jantava. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities, embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their ill knowledge. So Krishna didn't ask us to come here. But when we come here, we get entangled in trying to fulfill different desires. As it says in the purport, desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the soul. So, along with the soul, the subtle body from previous lifetimes enters into the body and is equipped with so many desires. Some of them in their modes of ignorance, some of them in the mode of passion, some of them in goodness, and perhaps if the soul has some contact with devotees in the previous lives, some are transcendental. And the soul gets a body to fulfill those desires. No one takes a body simply to go back to Godhead. Unless Shukadeva Goswami came in his spiritual body, you have to come in a spiritual body to have a body that's meant to go back to Godhead. In any case, there's an opportunity to change our desire in the human form of life by proper association and try to become detached or aloof from other kinds of desires, all the way up to the mode of goodness. So that's up to the will of the soul, which desire he's going to choose. And of course, if he spends too much time hearing the glories of the material energy in one form or another, naturally he's going to be inclined to experiment with the material nature, see what it would be like, get the experience. And if he hears about the glories of spiritual experience, then he'll become inclined also to try that out, see what that's like. Now, if he's serious and actually takes the process strictly or intelligently, then he should get a higher taste, and that should gradually give him, make him detached from these desires for material experience. And therefore, Krishna notes that this person this devotee, this soul doesn't want these desires anymore, and therefore Krishna reveals himself. Instead, he wants to please me, therefore I'll take away his material desires, and I'll inspire him to desire me even more by revealing myself to him. And that way one can make progress if one knows what's desirable and what's not desirable. One chooses the right desires. And when Krishna sees that one is trying to become aloof, one is trying to willingly trying to serve him with more enthusiasm and determination, Krishna becomes very pleased. Simply by our effort. And Krishna reciprocates with our effort, our desire, making a desired effort. So then Krishna helps us. Anumanta Bharata Bhokta Maheshwara. That he's the controller and the enjoyer. And when he is happy, then he makes sure that we know that we cause him happiness, and he reciprocates with us and makes us happy. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwara vinasyava vinashantam yak pashyati napashyati samam pashyanhi sarvatra samam vasiti ishwaram ehinatyatmanatmanam tatoyati paramgati. One who sees the super soul accompanying all the souls in all bodies, who knows that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. The one who sees the super soul accompanying all the souls in all bodies does not degrade himself by his mind, and thus he approaches the supreme destination. In other words, our real problem is just very simple. We don't know what to desire, and therefore we're desiring the wrong things. That's called conditioning. But if we know what to desire and we choose the right desires, then Krishna will help us and bring us back to the spiritual world. It's as simple as that. And the best thing to desire is to understand how Krishna is the proprietor, how Krishna is the controller, how Krishna is the real friend, how Krishna is the enjoyer, and therefore try to do something that Krishna wants us to do in order to please him. Then our success in life is assured. But if we don't remember that there's a super soul, we don't find out what the super soul wants us to do through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and we don't do it to please him, then we're lost in material energy. Although we may fancy ourselves to making some progress in some way, but actually we're just losing ourselves in material consciousness. Luckily, we have sadhana bhakti to remind us every morning or in the evening that what we're supposed to be doing. But hopefully during the day we can remember that also, so we don't put the iron in the fire and then take it out during the day and then try to put it back in the fire again and wonder why I'm going up and down in consciousness like a yo-yo. Sometimes during the day I'm in Vaikuntha, in the morning, in the evening, and during the day I'm having darshan of Yamaraj, and he doesn't look very pleased with me. So we should understand that we have to take shelter of the super soul. Chaitasa sarva karmani maya sanyasi mataraha puriyogam upashritya matshitak sadatam bhava. And all activities depend upon me. Work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Matshita sarva duragani mat prasada tarishyasi atachatvam hankaram nashoshiti vinangshasi. If you become conscious of me, you'll pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness and do not hear from me, then vinangshasi, then you'll be lost. So that's our choice. We're not going to suddenly remember Krishna 24 hours a day, but we have to take to the process by which we increase our remembrance and decrease our forgetfulness. And then we should increase the causes of remembrance and decrease the causes of forgetfulness of Krishna. So I'll stop there. Hvala. Here is Vaprosi or Pitanya. What's that? Prashana. Oh, it's more Sanskrit. Prashna. Variant eva te prashna.
Hare Krishna. You have illustrated according to how accepting the super soul in Krishna is very reasonable and logical. And then you have described the desires necessary. And indeed, according to the Vedanta Sutra, logic is not enough to to prove the existence of God, because one also needs to be open or amenable to reason. What are the factors that help people? In other words, this logic works for a seeker. So if one is a seeker, if one seeks the higher truth, then the logic may help this person. But if people are not seekers, so how we can help people become seekers of the truth?
No, we don't have to help them. Maya will help them. We leave it up to Maya. She's much more expert than we are. Just like now we have this problem, coronavirus. Now we could never have created such a worldwide opportunity to make people more humble, more inquisitive, more of everything that's necessary to become Krishna conscious. So Maya made the arrangements for us. Now we have to take advantage of it, or else we're also in Maya. And Maya will help us too. Yes.
What about people who are apparently happy and satisfied? How they can be helped to be...
Maya will take care of them too. Anyone who thinks they're happy in the material world is obviously in ignorance. I mean, ignorance because it's obvious they're going to die soon. And they don't know where they're going. So we don't disturb them, because it's used to, we'll just get disturbed. But Maya will take care of them. The pig thinks he's happy too. Everyone in the material world, Maya, by the avaratmika shakti, believe that they're happy. Otherwise they couldn't tolerate their miserable condition. So we don't have to interfere with them, or else they'll think that the only cause of unhappiness is us. And that will not be very helpful for them. So therefore, upeksha, we don't deal with such people. Otherwise, we'll get ourselves in trouble and we'll get them more in trouble also. So we tadvidi pranipatena. People can only be helped when they come humbly and inquisitively. That's the only way we can help them. Otherwise, it's useless. And we leave it up to Maya to take. She's very expert. She'll instruct them. Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, thank you for the lecture. I have a question regarding to the beginning of the lecture. You were mentioning spirit and supreme spirit.
Super spirit.
Super spirit, yeah. But so I become a little bit confused because I was translating in Slovenian. what is different between spirit and soul? Or because if you translate in Slovenian, this spirit, it's a little bit.
Well, we're the soul, the spirit and soul, the spirit soul.
A spirit soul. So we're spirit soul. So you just make it a little bit.
We're trying to save time. We only get it.
Hare Krishna. Now I understand. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Cut corners. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Krantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.